We're live from the Mecca of boxing, Boricua Boxing, here with Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman, your thoughts on tonight's fight between JuanMa and Steve Levino?
On paper, it was a more impressive win than Gamboa's, considering the competition. Levino was... People were saying maybe he's a little over the hill, even though he's 28. He's an old 28. He did not fight that way. He fought like he always does, very well. He's a rangy fighter, usually with a good defense. And JuanMa was able to knock him out. And so in terms of on paper, the way the wins look, his was better than Gamboa's, who was fighting an older fighter without much tread on the tires, and a guy who's coming off a brutal fight with Lopez. It's also credible, I think, that Lopez says that the weight hurt him in this fight with Mtagwa. I believe that's the case because he usually looks very good, and he faded late in the fight. And 122 pounds, he's a big, kid who's growing up in weight. And so I appreciate all those things. But it's very difficult to get around the emotional impression that Gamboa left. You can intellectually understand that JuanMa had the better win, that he was in the tougher fight, that he was in against a style that was harder to look good against. You can understand all those things. But when you see Gamboa do that, that's the takeaway tonight. And so in that way, JuanMa, even though he didn't deserve it, was overshadowed.
Your thoughts on a possible fight between Gamboa and JuanMa later in this future? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, if you were to say who's made for whom, Gamboa seems to have Lopez seems to have the right style for Gamboa, because Gamboa comes in wide with some punches. Lopez has very short, compact punches, and until very recently has shown better boxing skill. But Gamboa recently has fought much more disciplined. He doesn't just rush in. He's still a little bit wide, but he makes up for it in hand speed. And Lopez has looked more vulnerable recently. But again, tonight he was in against a much tougher fighter. So the answer is the same off of these performances. Rationally, you would say, I think Lopez has a good chance to win. Maybe he should be the favorite. But there's no way to get around the emotional impact that Gamboa, it's like Tyson fights. Even when you knew Tyson should be the underdog, he was never made the underdog because of the impression that he left when he was blowing everyone out. So no matter what I say about Lopez and how it's unfair to judge him, against Gamboa, no matter what I say about that or how I think about it, I'm like everyone else. I'm not going to be able to get around what Gamboa just did. And so I like Gamboa I think like most people who saw what they saw tonight.
If you had a choice to put matchmake, who would you rather see JuanMa fight? Gamboa or Caballero? Celestino Caballero?
Gamboa. A Caballero, by the way, if he moves up, is going to be tough for anybody because of his height. He's aggressive. He's just I love. I think Caballero really is for the winner of this fight. These two guys obviously on a collision course, and Caballero, if he moves up, is for the winner.
For the winner,
could be for the winner. Would be a good opponent for the winner.
I'm interested in. I know you're calling the fight tonight. Your thoughts on Tito Trinidad, Miguel Cotto, and JuanMa all in the same room. How did you feel seeing those three guys?
I loved it, man. I mean, those are the three. I mean, we'll see what happens with Lopez, but those are the three dominant Puerto Rican fighters of this era. We'll see if Lopez can develop into the kind of attraction that Trinidad and Cotto were. We'll see if he can fill up the big room here on the eve of the Puerto Rican Day Parade. But he looks like he's the heir apparent to that legacy, and you get a packed Madison Square Garden with a great Puerto Rican fighter, especially if you can develop a rivalry with him. There's nothing better.
Awesome. Max Kellerman, Boricua Boxing. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.